Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TalkTechBoy.com, and we're here today with lesson number 5 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're going to learn to code in Python or you're going to die trying. What I'm going to need you to do is go ahead and pour yourself a nice strong cup of black coffee. And I'm going to need you to get ready to learn some cool new stuff. Hey, as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your encouragement and your support that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, you can look in the description down below. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what we are going to learn today. What I'm going to show you today is how to install a better integrated development environment for Python. Now, we're still going to be using the same Python program. We're still going to be using the same Python language, but instead of interacting with Python through the idle, we're going to be interacting with it through a better integrated development environment, because really, my friend, idle is just kind of a dumb text editor. You write in text, you save it, and then that text file is run in Python. And if you have a more organized integrated development environment, it really makes things a whole lot easier, makes it easier to keep your programs organized, and makes it easier for you to install new things. And so we're just going to take that, and what I've done is that trying to keep everything possible free for you, I've found what I think is the best free integrated development environment out there, and what it is Visual Studio Code. And believe me, I tried them all, so you don't have to, and you can just take advantage of downloading the one that I think is the best and the simplest to use, and it is called Visual Studio Code. So let's get that installed, and I think you're gonna love it, because I love it a lot. Okay, so we are going to come up here, and I'm going to get out of your way. Boom, I'm out of your way. And I like to use the most excellent DuckDuckGo, but use your search engine of choice, and you want to search on install Visual Studio Code, and boom, right here we're taken to code.visualstudio.com/download with an uppercase D. We're going to click on that. I will be showing you how to install it on Windows 10, but if you're on a different platform, you can install the Linux version here or the Mac version here. The installation should really be the same on all of these, so you can follow along. Whatever you're playing along with at home, feel free to continue. It should be the same. So I'm going to click on this Windows button here, the big Windows button, and it takes me to this page. You look in the lower left of Chrome, and you can see that it is downloading that executable which will install the software for us. I have a pretty fast internet connection, so it went pretty quickly. I'm going to click on this, and then it's going to open up the installation. Okay, I've got all of these terms and conditions, probably agreeing to give them my stem cells and my firstborn and all of that, but we're going to go ahead and live dangerously, because I'll give you a clue. If you say you don't agree, it doesn't let you install the software. So whatever they're asking for here, we're going to agree to it, and we're going to say next. And then it wants to put it in this folder. That looks like a good folder. That's fine. Then do you want to create a shortcut? Yep, that sounds good. And then this is I like to go ahead on additional icons and say create a desktop icon. And then it is kind of important to have the box checked that says add path, and that way that way it can always find it. If you put the Visual Studio program in the path, then Windows will always be able to find it. So yes, you want that box checked. We will say next, and we are ready to install. Click. It'll take a second, so we'll just sit and chat a little bit and enjoy some coffee. I think I'm going to have to make another cup of coffee. This one is getting consumed fairly quickly here. It's a little bit of a cold day out there today in West Texas still, so I'm really enjoying the hot coffee. Looks like we are almost done. Okay, boom, and I've got clicked here to go ahead and launch Visual Studio Code, and I will click Finish now, and boom. Okay, we are up and running. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is I am going to show you how to get this configured. I'm going to see if I can make this. Yeah, I think I can make your... Look at that through the magic. If you wonder how I'm doing that, it's Control Plus. I actually learned that from one of my students the other day. He said, "Sir, do Control Plus and we can see what you're doing better." You don't have to, just make it whatever size is easy for you to read. But what we're going to do is we're going to start by, we're going to want to open a folder. But before we open a folder, we want to create a folder. So this is going to be a folder that's going to be kind of like the master folder that we're going to be doing all of our programming in. And a natural place for you to put it would be probably just in your My Documents folder, and then you could right mouse click and then you could say New, and you could create a new folder in there and you could call it Python Files. I've got a little different place that I do a lot of Python work, so I'll come over here to that, and then what I'll do is just what I told you to do. It doesn't really matter where you put it, you just got to keep track of where you put it. So I'm going to say New Folder, and then I am going to say Python Files. Now, just a little pro tip here. I never on any machine ever put spaces in file names or folder names, because there's some things that if you get into Linux and you have spaces in your file names or spaces in your folder names, it can be really bad. So I just always have a habit of never putting spaces in file names or folder names. But I'll click Enter, and now I have that program, that Python Files folder created. And then we want to come back over here and we want to do Open Folder. Okay, Open Folder. Do you see that? Now, if you clicked around, let me see something here. Can you give me just a second? Give me just a second here. I think that I can try to give you something that is a little bit easier to see. Yeah. Okay, and you can still see through it. Let me adjust that a little bit. Okay, so you can see now where I'm pointing a little bit. You like that? I think it's kind of cool. Okay, so now before you click on Open Folder, or I'm sorry, we already created the folder. Now, if you clicked around and lost this, you can always come up here to File, and then there you can say Open Folder there as well in case you get lost. But since we already have it here, I'm going to click Open Folder, and then I'm going to navigate over to that folder that I created a second ago. And I did not mean to click on OneDrive. All right, and then, okay, there's that folder that I created called Python Files. And so I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to say Select Folder. All right, now if we look over here to the left, and let me see if I can do a little bit of Windows management for you here. I just want to make sure that you can see everything that I'm looking at. Okay, if you look here now, you can see there is that folder called Python Files. All right, now this is where you can write your programs. And in fact, you could create another folder inside of here. Like if you wanted to create a folder that was called like, My Programs or Tutorial Examples or whatever, you could organize things further in here. But right now, I'm just going to be putting my files in here. This clicking would create a new folder. See, it looks like a folder. This would create a new file. And those two icons look kind of similar. So if you're not careful, make sure that you're not creating a folder when you want to create a file. But I'm going to come in and click on this, and I'm going to just say hello world, and then .py. And remember, the .py is kind of important. All right, now look at this. What it recognizes is that you have not, I better get further out of your way. If you look down here, you can see that it recognizes that you have not set up Python yet inside of Visual Studio Code. And it saw .py. Hey, this guy wants to work in Python, but he hasn't done it yet. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come on over here and say install Python. And then if you look here, it says installing. And so what we're watching is this little blue button here and waiting for it to go ahead and get installed. It's taking a second. We will not panic. Okay, and now I was getting a little worried because it seemed to be kind of stuck there, but you see how it says installed? And so that is a very, very good sign. Okay, now it says Python extension is now installed. Some features might not be available until a notebook or interactive Windows session is restarted. And so, okay, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to say okay. And then it says Pylint is not installed. Let's go ahead and install Pylint. Okay, so I'm going to click that. And let's give it a second there. And you can see it's trying to do some stuff here. All right, looks like it's happy. Pylint is just something that kind of helps you debug and find errors. I don't really use it that much, but I figure one of the things is if you don't go ahead and install it, one of the things that can happen is you can keep getting a reminder on it. And so that just sort of makes it shut up to just go ahead and install it. Okay, now I want you to see up across here, you have different tabs, okay? And so this Python getting started, let's go ahead and kill that tab. Python extensions, let's kill that tab. Now we are back to this hello world file that this hello world tab that we created, the hello world file that we created. And we're also over here, we have the welcome, which is where we started. And so I think I will kill welcome. And now I have got, basically at this point, I am back to where you would be here in idle, where you're ready to write a program. But you see now, instead of this being a text file that you're just working with on your own, you can see that it is inside of a work environment. And let's see here. Now, what you can do is you can see over here to the left, you have kind of lost your folder. And that's because you're down here in extensions. You move to this tab. And this is a debug tab. We won't really talk about that. This is a source control. We won't talk about this. This is a search bar. But where we really want to go is back here to our navigation thing. So you can see here is our folder, Python files. Here is our program or our file, hello world. Okay. And then also I'm going to show you one or two other things. Let's see if I come here, file, I can preferences, you can set different things. So like if you want to work with your fonts and things like that, you can set that there. But it looks like the default is really pretty good. And so I can close that. Just kind of looking around here a little bit to see if there is anything here that I need to show you right now. Oh yeah, this is what I was looking for. So we're under File, we're under Preferences, and you can change your color theme, okay? So like if you like a light, you can come up to Visual Light, and then you've got white with white background with black text. And I've gone back and forth, but my audience has kind of told me over the years that they prefer the dark background. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to go Visual Studio. Let's try Kimby Dark. Nah, I don't like that very much. Let's go to File, Preferences. You can play around with these color themes and see if there's anything that you Monarchy dimmed. That one's not too bad. There's some additional ones that are pretty good, but I think the best one for right now is just the dark Visual Studio. So that's the one I'm doing. Looks like that is pretty readable for you guys. I think I'm going to just step it up a couple of clicks in size to make sure that you can see it well. All right, I think you should be able to see that really well. And then I'm going to adjust this window here back a little bit. Okay. So you see, I want to get it where it's really easy for you guys to see what I'm doing. And so this is the name of the file. All right. And so you see, I can close it there, and now I'm back to not having anything, and then I can come over here and click it, and it opens it up again. And you can also have more than one program open at a time. You can kind of go to split screen, and you can work with 2 programs at a time. So maybe you're editing on this one over here as you are looking at this one over here, but we're just going to go with 1. And then here I'm going to say print. And then we are going to print, can you guess? Yes, hello world. And then we are going to come over here, and this is the run button up here. So we're going to come over here and run. Boom. Look at that. And where do we get the result? We get the result down here in our terminal window. So you can see that you've got kind of a Windows terminal down here. And let's see. Yeah, this is just kind of a Windows terminal that you have down here, and that's where it sends the output to. Also, let's just do something that we had learned earlier. Let's come here and say, let's just say name is equal to, and then we're going to say input, and we're going to say, who are you? Question mark space, and we put that in name. And then we're going to come here and say print. And you see what it's trying to do is these pop-ups, it's giving you suggested values. And so this just reminds you what the possible parameters are on that print command. Okay, and if it bothers you later, we can figure out how to turn that off. Like right now, it is really in the way. And I killed the whole program. Never fear, we will go back to Visual Studio Code. What's happened is that I've enlarged my window so much. That that suggestion box for improved Python editing with better and faster auto-completion, install the new Pylance extension. I'm just going to say no. Okay, so I'm going to print. What am I going to print? I'm going to print hello, comma, and then I'm going to put comma, and I'm going to put name, and then I'm going to put comma, and then I'm going to put, let me make this smaller so that is not as annoying. Let me see how to make this smaller. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I think you can still see it, and now it's not covered up. So I said hello, and then I'm putting name, and then I'm going to put welcome to Visual Studio Code. All right, so let's see how that works. And so now we're going to run this. And then it says, who are you? Now this is what I want to show you. You've got to click here to answer it. And so then I'm going to say Paul. And then it says, hello, Paul, welcome to Visual Studio Code. All right, so your input and output is going to come in this terminal down here, and it is a Python terminal, so that's where your output is going to come, is down here to this terminal. So now I'm going to run it again, and this time it looks like it actually places the cursor here, but never assume the cursor is there. You always need to kind of click on it there to make sure that it is there. I click enter, and then hello, Paul, welcome to Visual Studio Code. Boom. All right, now what we're going to do is, like next week, what the lesson is going to be, lesson number 6 is going to be, I'm going to show you how to do if statements and conditionals. So you're not going to have any homework. I guess your homework for today is just use this to play around with the things that we learned in the first 4 lessons. Just play around with this, and then save your programs over here with program names that make sense. Like, remember how I taught you how to do arrays? We'll make a little program over here called arrays.py. Remember how I taught you how to get user input? Make a little program over here called user input. And that way, If you ever go away and forget, you can come back and you have some nice example programs that show you how to do the basics, how to get user input, how to do if statements, how to do all those different things that I'm going to be teaching you. And so you will have those programs over here. So just play around, write a few programs. And then next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to do if statements and conditionals. Now, if you have gone through my Arduino series of tutorials, which I certainly hope you have, then you already kind of understand if statements, but I'm just going to be showing you the syntax of how to use them in Python. Okay, guys, this has been kind of a fun lesson. You're going to learn, you're going to love Visual Studio Code, and the more you use it, I think the more you're going to like it, and it just makes coding a whole lot easier. And so I hope you guys are having as much fun taking these lessons as I'm having making them. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Really helps me with the old YouTube algorithms. If you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button. When you do, make sure you ring that bell so you will get notifications when I have new videos coming out. Share this with other people. Let's see if we can grow this channel. Let's see if we can get some more people that are doing something useful with their time. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.